Sorry about that, guys. Battery died. Fixed the problem. This question was a good question because it chose you to choose a letter or phrase. Then we gave you 5 choices. We clearly explained what each of the choices were. We gave you a descriptive word, awesome, and then I'd definitely use it was the phrase. Good idea, I'd probably use it. Okay, I might use it. Iffy, I doubt I'd try it. No way, I'd never use it. We tried to make it crystal clear. The other thing that we did was we used words that we knew were sort of universal. I definitely use it. Awesome is kind of vague, so we clarified. Good idea. Again, a little bit vague, so we clarified it. Also didn't use any words that might be tricky or confusing over, say, a 5th grade reading level. All right, so let's go to the next part. Water Technologies, Inc. is a company that designs and builds water parks. Creating and conducting surveys is a method they use to learn more about what a community wants in a water park. Suppose Water Technologies, Inc. have enlisted your help in planning the construction of a water park in your area. They will use the results of your survey to make decisions about the types of food vendors and their locations in the park. The issues they want you to consider are, now we offered different things in the class, what the kids wanted to talk about. In this particular class, they wanted to talk about, the types of restaurants that were offered in the water park. So we went through and we said we could either talk about the type of food or the type of service. So we could say Italian food, Mexican food, Asian food, seafood, American food, French food, Middle Eastern food, or we could say, is it fast food, is it table service, is it snacks? This particular class wanted to talk that day about the background of the food itself. So on the back, that's exactly what we were looking at. All right, so get that in just the right spot. While planning his survey question, Devin found it helpful to make a checklist of things to think about. Well, how do you ask the question to get the type of answer you want? If you just said, hey, what type of food do you want at the water park? Some people might say fast food, some people might say hamburger, some people might say American food, some people might say Italian, some people might say chicken nuggets. You need to word the question so that it is clear and you are going to get predictable types of answers. So first, we want to know what's the purpose of the survey. Our survey was to find out what type of restaurant. Are the choices I offered appropriate? You want to offer choices, otherwise you will get so many answers that the results could be unusable. Will the data I collect be easy to organize and analyze? When you provide your choices, you want to make sure that the categories don't overlap and that you have clarified for the reader what you expect for an answer. Will my questions be easy for everyone to understand? You heard me previously say we don't want anything above a 5th grade reading level. Well, the standard newspaper or magazine is written at approximately a 5th grade reading level to make sure that they don't eliminate any of their potential customers. So when we go to write our question, we want to make sure that we don't want to use any big or confusing words. So the question we came up with was, if you were at a water park, we started that way because the food I eat at a water park might be different than the food that I eat at a fair or different than the food I eat at Disney World versus Typhoon Lagoon. So we clarified where we're eating. What food type would you most likely buy? This was also important because I don't care if you really like tacos, but if you're not going to buy tacos at a water park, I don't want to sell tacos at a water park. So we're interested in, at a water park, what food types and what are you actually going to buy? And we listed the choices that the class came up with. Italian food, Mexican food, Asian food, American food, seafood, French food, and Middle Eastern. Seafood, people decided in that class needed to be its own category, even though you could have seafood in any of the others, because you could have a restaurant dedicated to seafood that wasn't culture specific. So that's the only one that feels a little bit out of place with the rest of the options. In this class, what we did was we put all of our choices and then every kid had to vote for one. So they either had to pick Italian, Mexican, Asian, American, seafood, French, or Middle Eastern. They only got one vote. If they were at a water park, what food type would you most likely buy? The results actually came out more spread out than I would have expected, but you'll notice that American food came out with the highest number. And we talked about it being sort of like your burgers, your hot dogs, your chicken tenders, that kind of food. And people were saying, well, that's sort of what I'm used to. It's predictable. It's easy to, walk away with. Getting a plate of spaghetti or getting tacos might be difficult if you're at a water park. Maybe you're sitting at a picnic table. Maybe you're not. So what did we learn about the food issue for our group? Our group said American was the most popular, and it was pretty spread out otherwise. Besides a frequency table, this was our frequency table, how else could you display your data? Well, two other popular choices would be bar graphs and circle graphs. Bar graphs are going to show the spread of the data. You're almost never going to use a frequency table when you're presenting data, say, to a larger group or your boss. So we made a bar graph. So here's our bar graph. We made sure that our bar graph had a title, Water Park Food Choices, again, focusing on the fact that it was at the water park. Down here at the bottom, types of food. We did shorten it. We've got Italian, Mexican, Asian American, seafood, French, and Middle Eastern. Assuming that they would have the survey question in front of them, we could do abbreviations. And we've got frequency up the side. When you do a bar graph, frequency is always going to be on the side because you're saying how many people voted in that category. The bars are not touching because the categories are not touching. American food does not turn into seafood. Seafood does not turn into French food. So they are standing alone bars. We also made a circle graph. And we made some circle graphs earlier this year, and we noticed that circle graphs had 360 degrees. We said if 3 out of 18 people picked Italian, how many degrees out of 360? We figured out that that sector needed to be 60 degrees, so we did a 60-degree sector for Italian. Mexican, the answer was the same, 3, so we did another 60-degree sector. Asian and Middle Eastern were both 1 out of 18 people. That came out to 20 degrees. So the Asian sector is 20 degrees. The Middle Eastern sector is 20 degrees. Seafood and French both came out to 2 out of 18. Those were 40 degrees each. And you'll notice American, which was our biggest response in the frequency table, it was our tallest bar in the bar graph, is also our largest sector at 120 degrees in the circle graph. So surveys are great for collecting data as long as you write a good survey question. And surveys are a great way to make choices moving forward. So if I were working for this company, I would probably say that their money would be best spent on making American food restaurants. Maybe they have 1 or 2 others thrown in, or maybe they do some kind of food cart for some of these if they could as well. So hopefully surveys was a fun one, and I hope you've enjoyed our videos. Bye guys.